Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Are We There Yet? This is episode 33, Dating and the Green-Eyed Monster. Hey, Jealousy. I'm your host, Susan Ruth.
I'm your host, Mara Adelman, and we are two humans having the real conversation and raising those questions that we all have about where is there when it comes to dating, relationships, and sex.
This is a good one. I think jealousy can lurk in interesting places.
100%. I came up with some themes that we're going to talk about because there's lots of different kind of buckets of jealousy we can put them in. And I found that first, I guess, where's our there? So I had an interesting experience, which kind of fell into this. I remembered to keep track of it for this episode. I went on a date with a guy just to go dancing. We had a bunch of fun. We called it a date, but like both of us kind of knew that like it was going to be more casual than that down the road. And I sat there and thought, it's so funny when you're not madly in love with somebody that you can do that piece. We're sitting outside and this Tesla pulls up and 5 hot chicks get out of a Tesla. And he's like, 5 hot chicks in a Tesla. I'm like, 5 hot chicks in a Tesla. And I don't know what happens in relationships where all of a sudden when you're like really serious, nobody's allowed anymore to say, hey, look at that hot person. How is that any different than saying, look at that cute dog? I don't know. It's weird.
I think it depends on the relationship, because in almost every relationship I've been in, I'll be like, oh my gosh, look at that good looking guy or girl, whatever. And generally it elicits a conversation of, ooh, who would be your type? And there's never any problem or animosity there. But I think it just depends on the people.
Yeah.
If it's not disrespectful, I think there's a disrespectful way to do that. And then like a fun way to do it.
100%. So you guys always did that. I find, because I watched my couple friends and I've talked to people, and a lot of people have a hard time with that. They just do. And it makes me sad because I think it's hot. Like, ooh, like it's a little sparky, right?
Well, it's like that. Which celebrity would you sleep with, or who's your celebrity past or whatever? I remember I had a person once. They were like, well, the problem is if I say my celebrity past, I'll never meet that celebrity, whereas you might meet your celebrity. I was like, well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like something might actually, but that hits the nail on the head, is that it's all good and fine when it's like abstract, but if it could actually maybe happen, then people start doing this whole thing of like, because really the question when you're with somebody and the reason jealousy comes up is, how important am I to you anyway? And are you really in for this, or are you going somewhere, right?
Oh, I'm confused. You're saying that that's what causes jealousy?
I think a big question that comes into relationships is if you know you're super important to somebody and they're not going anywhere and you're super secure in that, then the jealousy factor is much lower, right?
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. But I have been in a relationship where the person started becoming jealous, becoming weird, becoming over the top. And so finally I said, you cheated, didn't you? It came out later that they never admitted to it. But I believe that behavior is, if you're not doing anything, you know what I mean? If you're not doing anything that warrants that behavior, someone might accuse you of cheating and you are cheating. Fine. That's another story. But if you're grounded in knowing that you haven't done anything like that and they're really insistent or acting weird, especially if it's a behavioral change.
Yes.
They probably, I would say that they probably cheated. In my experience and experience of people that I have known, it's like, you probably, because now you're projecting all of your feelings.
I think you're 100% correct. And in my personal life, when I've been jealous, it's generally because my gut is telling me that something's wrong. And it's been right 99.999% of the time.
Or maybe even too, like I was more jealous when I was younger. It's not like I've reached some sort of Zen state. I just choose better partners, I think. But when you are in something that is stable and vulnerable and caring and you feel protected, I think those feelings just don't even come up, right? So if you are experiencing those feelings, you can also ask yourself or your partner, what is making me feel less than here? Because jealousy emotions are akin to less than feelings, right?
I'm less than, or I'm not as important to you as I used to be, or we're not in sync right now. So does that mean you're in sync with somebody else? And I think in a month from now, we're going to talk about like infidelity and all the different types of that. And so, yeah, that is the thing that comes up for a lot of people, right?
And infidelity has nothing to do with the person who's being cheated on for the most part. I mean, I think statistically, it's about the person that's doing the cheating. Otherwise, I mean, look at some of the most beautiful women in the whole world have been cheated on. Haley Berry, Emily Ratajkowski, I think that's how you say her name. Considered two of the most beautiful women in the whole world, and they've been cheated on multiple times. So it's like, oh, you know what? I don't think it's about looks. I don't even think about.
No.
Yeah. So
I think it's more about the other person feeling not enough or insecure and having to go fill a void.
Or feeling like, oh, I'm getting bored or whatever. And instead of coming to your partner and saying, can we talk about this situation? They go outward. Oh, you can see a little bit of it's laundry day. Like see a little bit of my dirty laundry. I pile it up in front of the washing machine is right there. So if everybody knows, in my tiny apartment.
Oh my God, we are human. See, we all do laundry. Hallelujah.
I just realized, I'm like, what is that? Like, oh, it's my laundry. I'll just do this. I'll just do that.
I like this view because I like all your books. That's a gorgeous view.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so where's there? Anything new and exciting for you?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been a whirlwind. I have so much stuff going on, just a lot of projects, trying to keep it all in the air, and done some traveling. I went to see my friend's musical. My friend Jeff Madoff did, no relation, by the way, with Bernie. Jeff and Lloyd Price wrote and created a musical called Personality about Lloyd Price's story. And I went to Chicago and saw the opening night and went to the after party. And it was just really delightful. And it was so wonderful to support Jeff. Lloyd passed away of, I think it was really complications of COVID and coupled with his diabetes. He passed away before the show opened, which is such a bummer, but his widow was there. The cast is extraordinary. The music is so much fun. If you don't know who Lloyd Price is, everybody, you do know who Lloyd Price is. You just don't know that you know who Lloyd Price is. The song's like Personality.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Good Laddie, Miss Claddy, and just really great song. So yeah, it was fun.
It's sad that he didn't get to be there though.
He was there in spirit. I feel like, yeah.
I do believe that is a true statement.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. I think I knew the differences, but I never really thought about it because I'll often say, oh, I envy you for that. Jealousy is the fear of losing something you already have, and envy is wanting something that somebody else already has.
Interesting.
I never thought of it like that because I'll sometimes say, I usually say, oh, I'm jealous. Oh, I'm jealous. I wish I could go play and do that. But really, it's envious. I want what you have.
Okay. Well, because we took that quiz, it's down below. Yeah. Excuse me. And I'm burping and I have laundry. How much? What's next? What's coming next from the real world of Susan? Anyway, in the quiz, it does not distinguish between those two things. It asks envious questions and jealousy questions. Yeah, it's still an interesting quiz. So.
It's an interesting concept I never thought of. So I'll just try to make sure I remember when I say it right next time. Also, jealousy is a desire for something plus a doubt that you can or can't have it. So like that hope feeling versus disappointment can lead to some jealousy. Does that make sense? Like you're so hopeful, but then you can't actually have it. So you might lose it. And now you feel worried and you want to grasp on.
So the song Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield, that's jealousy.
No, because he wants something he can't have. So that's envy, right?
But isn't it jealous? Oh, wait. Oh, I guess you're right. Right.
Right. Yeah, I want Jesse's girl. He wants something he can't have. So,
but if Jesse's girl flirts with him, then then her boyfriend, the best friend, might be jealous.
Yes. Isn't that weird? It's like we don't always like delineate these things. I had never thought about it.
Welcome to our TED Talk about Jesse's girl.
I love that song.
And no matter what, Meatloaf will not do that.
He won't do that? No, he's not going to do that? I find that when Jesse's Girl comes on, I turn it up really loud and I sing it really loud.
I love that song.
So the other thing that came up for me is I realized I don't have as much jealousy as I have FOMO. If I really like somebody, it's not like, oh, I'm so sad that I'm worried that you're going to be out talking to some girl. It's more like, I want to be out with you. Does that make sense? Like I get more FOMO. Like, how come you don't have time for me? I want to go do that too. Versus being jealous that maybe you got to go do something.
Yeah. Or when you like someone and they're interested in someone else and you're like, well, and they're terrible for them, in your humble opinion.
I think I've heard this story from you before.
No, I'm just saying in general, but
In general.
I mean, certainly I have watched, see, I had a bad habit. It's a lot of information, but in my early 20s, when I was still like, I don't know, just still realizing who I am and what I am and what I want and you know, trying to get through all your childhood traumas by playing it out on other people. Oh my God, my train just went off what were we saying? My train just went off the track.
You were talking about how, oh God.
Only
because I don't know where you were going to end that. That's funny.
What were we starting? What did you say that made me go off on my weird little ass tangent?
The FOMO and the.
Oh, I remember. When I liked someone, I would talk my friend into liking them. So that because I was my head was such a mess from, you know, childhood trauma that it was that way I could sort of have a proxy to carry out the relationship, which was weird. It's so weird to do to yourself, right? And then they would get together inevitably, whomever it was, and I would be so bummed but happy for my friend, but also like, oh God, it's weird.
That is such an interesting coping skill. You were keeping yourself safe by not allowing yourself to date them. So instead you were pushing them off on your friend. And
where I could still have the experience sort of dating them because we would all go places together.
Protecting your heart.
Yeah. What a mess.
How much jealousy did you feel around that?
Oh, for sure. I probably did. Like I said, I think as a younger person, I would experience that more. A mix of envy and jealousy probably certainly was a part of my life. I'm a Taurus. They say we're notorious for that. But I think as I've gotten older and more grounded and know who I am and what I want, yada, 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 I think that is a lesson, not really a thing.
Well, that is the key, is know thyself. We say that all the time. Another interesting concept that came up when I was thinking about jealousy was like, you want to know that you have a stronger connection with your person. And of course, it's not just a superficial thing. It's like, you see that cute dog. Oh, that's a cute dog. Well, I have cute dogs, but they're mine, right? And you have connection and you have all their pieces and all that history. So the problem is people get so jealous around, oh, you think that person's hot. Who cares? You guys have a connection. You guys have a thing. But only if you're building that thing up enough that you can feel safe in that container to feel like you have this super strong connection, right?
And I've dated people that have dated other people. I've been in polyamorous relationships. I think that's what you would call them. I don't even know what technically they are. It seems weird to even put a label on them, but basically where I was also dating other people and they were also dating other people. Everybody was safe. Everybody knew about everybody, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't experience jealousy in any of that at all.
I'm the same as you. That's so crazy to me because it's almost like, that container looks like this. So
because there's rules and boundaries and you've all agreed. And
communication and compersion, which is that feeling of like being happy about somebody else's happiness. So like, I actually like that container. I'm not sure I'm built for it long term. Remember I tried that. Sure. I dated a guy who's married, in an open relationship because it's a very delineated container versus, oh my God, we're madly in love. Now what? Now it gets more scary, right?
I just feel like different strokes for different folks. Everybody has to figure out what works best for them. And it's really a process. And I would encourage anyone to, figure it out respectfully with boundaries and communication and hopefully, but that's a whole nother topic, but let's dive in. Okay. Jealousy.
Here's the what you got for us? Here's the buckets. Time away from your partner. So like doing things separately, looking or talking about other people being hot, right? These are just buckets I came up with. We can add to them. Social media and phones is a huge one nowadays. But we'll start with
sliding into the DMs kind of thing.
Sliding into the DMs and liking cute, putting hearts on people's things. And then your spouse or person is like, whoa, that feels a little much, right? But we'll start with time away from your partner. So
I just really quick, I would say, are we going to get into each one?
No. Yeah. But we're going to do each one separately, but.
Okay. I was going to say that certainly if I had a person and they were always putting hearts all over, naked women, I might say to them, that seems weird. Do you want to talk about it?
That's a little much for my liking.
I'll
right?
give you a pen. You can put hearts anywhere on my body.
All over me. Oh,
Let me be your Instagram.
That's such a cute solution. I am your Instagram. I like that one a lot.
Just no poop emoji. I'm not into fecophilia.
No poop, please. No, people are allowed to do poop play if they want safely, but I don't want poop play. So the interesting thing, I didn't realize this, but it makes sense now. Some people need a much higher level of proximity to their partner, time together, closeness. And often it's because they didn't get that level of proximity or feel safe from their parents when they were younger. And I think I can be slightly guilty of this. Like I didn't get the attention I needed sometimes when I was younger. So now if I'm with somebody, I'm like, but come on, pick me, I want to play. And so that's an interesting concept.
But I did not get good support from my parents, and I'm the opposite, right?
But that's because I have an anxious attachment style.
And I am a style. We're the two-sided coin, my friends.
The yin and yang. But so it is crazy. The more I learn and the more I help other people learn, the more I'm like, how does anybody make this work?
They don't. We're all walking each other home. Ram Dass, baby. We're doing the best we can, and
that is right. So the other thing is
also anybody that says they have it all figured out, they don't. Nobody does, but none of us do. I feel like I can say that with certainty, even though I don't know for sure, because that's part of the joke, the cosmic joke.
Even Esther Perel says she doesn't have it all figured out. If Esther Perel doesn't have it all figured out, but she was agreeing. It's funny because I think you said that to me, and she agreed with that long-term heteronormative relationships are slightly going out of fashion.
I think I did say that.
You said that, but then I listened to one of her podcasts, and that's her kind of motto is like, we're in a different place in the world than we used to be, which is why all the young kids are kind of thinking like more non-binary, and everybody's kind of just flowy.
That's why there's a lot of panic in the air, but they don't understand that that's probably biologically makes more sense, especially and I'm sure we'll get some ads for this, but in a world that is pretty populated, that hasn't figured yet how to get along globally.
I agree.
Again, I say this, if 8 billion people, too many people for a planet that has not figured out how to work in union with each other.
100%.
It's not a eugenic statement. It's not no hate mail. It's literally if everyone could figure out how to take care of each other the proper way and stop, doing land grabs and resource grabs and this is mine, you can't have any. It would probably fine, but
speaking of jealousy, I mean, look it up. Everybody trying to grab land and grab what's mine, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a part of jealousy is it's because there's a scarcity, and it's going to get more and more scarce. Totally off topic, but it's going to get more and more scarce.
We are now political.
No, okay, let's get off the politics because we know
no more politics.
Okay, so back to time away from your partner. A good tip for that is to number one, assume the best in your person. They want to go out with their friends. They're not going to cheat. Try to always come from that place of like, have they given me any evidence to say that they're not invested? Have they given me any evidence to say that just because they're going to do this thing without me or with a girlfriend, or we're going to get on that too, that was a bucket I forgot, friends of the opposite sex. So that doesn't necessarily mean something's going to happen, especially if you guys are good and connected. So try to come from that place of like, I'm going to give them some grace and assume the best. And also ask for support, not permission. So for instance, I really feel like I could use some time with my friends. I really feel like I need that for me versus, can I go out with my friends? A relationship is not a parent-child relationship. Everybody should work to get their own needs met while looking at the whole of the relationship. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Have you ever had issues with like partners being upset that you want to have a life outside of them?
Sometimes, sure. But again, when I was, younger, previous relationships, I also have not had issue. I don't have a problem with opposite sex friends or even being friends with exes. I'm friends with almost all my exes that aren't mad at me, so for breaking it off. But yeah, I mean, there's a great big world out there. I think if people are inappropriate, then that needs to be discussed. I read somewhere, this is not my idea, I read or heard somewhere that for women to be friends of men, it works because women aren't they're not looking to get anything out of the men. And for men to be friends with, and again, we're talking heteronormative, for men to be friends with women, it's because they think there might be a chance something would happen. And so they stick around. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother being friends. Now, I have asked men in my life, friends, male friends, if that were true. And you kind of get the same little grin when you ask that question. I don't know that anybody would actually admit to it, but they may be onto something there. But biologically, that makes sense, right? Men are supposed to spread their seed, yada, yada, yada. So
I do think it makes sense. And I've also asked guy friends, and most of the time it is that kind of little smile, like, yeah, probably. But I've talked to a couple guys who were like, no, I automatically put people in the friend zone if I can't see, like, I'm not as attracted, or I can't see it going somewhere. And so now they're my friend. And so I think it's hit and miss, right?
And I think that's to speak to the reason, the idea that straight women tend to have a lot of gay male friends, if is because they don't feel like prey.
That is a true statement. I like it when I hang out with my gay male friends, because I don't feel like I have to have my guard up a little bit. Like, no, I don't. That's not what I'm looking for. I just want to hang out.
Because every woman I know, and I'm sure that, again, speaking heteronormative, I just want to make that clear. I don't want to feel like we're ostracizing anybody. It's just, I can only speak from that experience.
Our experience.
That no matter what, there's always that slight little guard just in case, because I think many of us have had a situation where a friend has turned on us in some another, where you're like, whoa,
I thought we I got the kiss out of the blue, where I was like, whoa,
something. Yeah, you're like, whoa.
I thought we're friends, right? So going back to time away from partner, this was another interesting thing, and I already knew this, but I didn't really think about it. If you know that you can trust your partner and you feel comfortable, but then all of a sudden you feel hysterical about it. There's that saying, hysterical is historical. So when you get overly upset about something and you like, but I can't figure it out, there's history. There's something back there, right? And so I remember feeling that way about a guy I was dating, because his communication was a little off and he was much later than he was going to be. And I was like, oh, he's off doing, he's off sleeping with somebody else, I'm sure of it. And then I realized it's because something he did triggered to remember of a time when I was dating somebody more seriously and they were cheating. And my gut told me they were cheating. And of course, so then I show up at his house and he's got the door locked. And I texted him, hey, I think I'm going to come over tonight instead of tomorrow, which would have been totally fine within our container of the relationship. And then his door's locked and I'm like pushing on the screen. And all of a sudden he comes down and he's all flustered. And I go up to his room and there's like some underwear on the floor that he forgot to put away. Oh, and then some girl sleeping in his roommate's bed naked, but that's not having anything to do with him. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm not that stupid. And for whatever reason, it triggered that. And so it was fun. It was interesting. If it's hysterical, it's historical, right? So it doesn't, like you said about the cheating and the infidelity, 99% of the time, it doesn't have to do with you. Also, when you're super jealous, 99% of the time, it might not have to do with them.
Right. That's it. That's interesting. I don't know about the percentages, but I do. Yeah. But I agree that's, we can always scratch just below the surface of something and find all sorts of interesting tidbits.
Oh, don't we now? And so it is fascinating.
That's that thing of that, what I say, I don't even think I was the person to come up with this. I've been saying it for so long, but I'm guessing I heard it somewhere in my youth that we'd be quite careful to not imprison our current person for the crimes of our past person.
Such a good saying.
I'd like to think that I came up with that, and I may have, but I don't think so.
I hope you did, because it's brilliant.
But it is true.
But again, if you have unhealed trauma, which is why I advocate everybody, get a counselor, come talk to me as a coach, find a coach, work through stuff, because if you don't work through it, it's going to be hysterical, because it's historical. I love that.
I wish that we had a stenographer from the day you're born. The star was like, wow, 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 wow. On this day, wow, 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 wow. And then suddenly, and then finally you say, oh, you said this, and the other thing. What a miracle that would be. I'm sure it would cause a lot of fights, but.
Well, there's people that have memories like that where they can remember everything. I can't remember everything. That's why for a lot of people, our memories aren't built like that. So it pops up out of nowhere. And then you're like, oh, why do I feel so triggered? And then you have to stop, pause, think back, try to figure out where it's coming from. Again, most of the time has nothing to do with you or that person. It's the trauma.
Totally.
Okay, so then we've got looking at other people. We kind of already talked about that. Like, hey, that person's hot. I think it's super creepy when I see a guy and a girl sitting together and I walk by, or women walk by and they're like, You know
Where
that.
where they're rude about it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so rude.
Although I don't know which is worse, to be sly because we see them anyway, or head breaky. Or is it better to just say, there's a very attractive person coming this way. Let's look at them together.
I kind of like that, but that's hard to fit into a conversation. I personally, I think I would like the sly and then a, hey, check that out over there.
I was having, when I was in Florida, my friend Adam and I met for breakfast, and we were seating at this table that was right next to the bar. And so the people at the bar were just right here. And this young woman was sitting on the chair, and her butt was just perfect apple, kind of stuck out of the back of, yeah. And I kept looking, and he's happily married man. He's in love with his wife, whatever. But she's trying so hard, I think, or maybe not, but it felt like that. And I said, I want to squeeze that butt so bad. And then he laughed. He's like, it is right there.
I'm super inappropriate. What I would have done would tap her on the back and be like, girl, nice ass.
I wouldn't go down. I didn't want to make her feel bad, but I just was like, God, it's so squishable. Of course, who wouldn't want to squish that butt?
But I'm proud of him for not being overly ogly. So the ogly thing doesn't work for me.
I'm not married to him, but even if he had, in a moment like that where it's so right there, if the person I was with wasn't like, I would feel weird that they weren't mentioning it,
Oh. So there
is, maybe it's a no-win, and it's a communication between people with each other about what they're okay with it.
Ding, ding, ding. That's always the answer. The answer is when you're dating somebody, you should communicate ahead of time when you're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Hey, like, what's your policy on checking other people out? And what's your trigger? What makes you uncomfortable? Actually have the communication.
And if you see a super hot person coming towards you, it's not going to end your life if you just stay laser focused on your person, if that's what they need from you, because that's what being a loving, supportive person does. They say, what do you need from me in that moment? Is it the end of the world if I don't look at that hot ass?
That's a really good.
It is. It's the end of the world.
No, that's such a good point, though, because we all have days where we just feel not cute, not as sexy as we want to be. And hopefully our partner's in tune with us enough to go, now might not be the good time to do that. She just told me how fat she feels or whatever it is. And now I'm going to be like, check out Skinny Winnie, whatever it is, right? So being in tune with your partner will probably solve some of those problems. Again, communication. Also, say your partner goes out without you. The other thing you can set up is like, what kind of communication works for you, right? I've had friends tell me that, oh, when I go out, my guy texts me like every 2 hours. How's it going? How's it going? That's annoying. But also, if they need a little reassurance, it's a conversation ahead of time. Like, hey, or if you have kids at home, if I really need you, I'm going to call 3 times, hang up. That way, no, I need you.
Right. And that's a negotiation, because for me, that would be a lot. If somebody was doing that, I'd be like, oh, that's so much. But for them, they might need it. And so you have to find the middle ground. How about instead of every 2 hours, every 4 hours, there's a negotiation, because you don't want them to feel belittled by their feelings.
Right.
But also, I would say maybe get to the root of that panicky feeling, because
the one couple I know, it's because he's
get worse
and she's avoidant. And I don't think she gives quite enough reassurance when she's going out. So then he gets more anxious. Also, he works in EMS, so he gets nervous when she goes out because safety. So he's always going, you good? And I get that, but it would drive me crazy. Same thing. Like, I'll see you in a couple hours, right? Like, we don't need to communicate. But you're right. Negotiation.
A lot of the gay men I know are in open relationships. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And I think, oh, that's interesting. And I don't know about lesbian couples as much. I don't know if that's a thing as much, but kind of interesting.
I do. I think it is. It might be a little bit of a different model, like a little less worried about the safety.
Biology again. Spread that seed.
But also bigger, stronger species, less worried that your partner's leaving the house, less worried that something's going to happen to him, maybe less of that fear of like, I got to check in with you and make sure you're okay. Did you get in your Uber okay? Maybe. I don't know. But that's definitely was his trigger, I think.
Yeah.
Another thing that came up around communication was try to remember how you feel. This would have helped him. And I think I'm going to tell him this next time I hang out with him, because he could use a little help in that department. Maybe model the type of communication and feelings from yourself where it's like how you feel when you're on your best day, coming from your most filled up place, instead of texting every 5 minutes because you're lonely and bored. go find something else to do with yourself so that you're coming from, when your partner comes back, you're like, oh, I'm filled up too.
Yeah.
Instead of
That's
that
good advice.
poke thing. But it is hard when your partner takes off and doesn't want to hang out with you. And then we're back to the friends of opposite sex and friends with your exes. How many exes do you think you're friends with?
Almost all of them.
Yeah, me too. But not like
I actually set up an ex with his wife.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It actually started way back in high school. I saw the back of his head. He was 2 years older than me. And I saw the back of his head and I told my friend, it was the first day of 9th grade. And I said, I'm going to date that guy. And she said, you didn't even see what he looked like. I said, I don't need to. I know I will. Years later in college, we ran into each other. We both went to a college, one part of the state, but we were at a party opposite end of the state. We just happened to be at the same party.
Easy.
I know.
Give me goosebumps. You know how much I love those serendipity moments.
Yeah, and he came up to me by the well, I mean, not up to me. We were both by the keg and we were having beer and we just started chatting and I knew exactly who he was, of course. And he said, he started talking to me or whatever. And I said, do you remember me? I was in 9th grade. You were in, blah, blah. We hung out with these people a little bit. Cause he and I would pass at parties and we kind of knew each other a little bit, but he always had girlfriends in high school. Anyway, I said, what are you up to? I'm sorry for this tangent, but he said, it's such an interesting story. He said, oh, I go to school, blah. And I said, oh, I go to school, blah. And yeah. And so I said, oh, we should go grab food or something. We dated for 3.5 years.
Whoa, that's
yeah.
crazy.
And during our relationship, probably around the 3-year mark, maybe sooner than that, we were in love and all that good news and everything was fine. And traditional college relationship. And we went to a barbecue at my best friend's house and she had roommates. And there was this young woman who, there was something about her. She had her boyfriend there. I had my boyfriend. And I kept looking at her, I was like, huh. And I kept thinking she would be really good as a partner for my boyfriend. Not something normal people say.
Have I
told this story before?
No, but you were already good at compersion in college. That's crazy. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, it was different. It wasn't that because I was fully with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
It was a feeling, right? Yeah. I couldn't explain it. Like, I'm not the person here. That's the person for you.
Wow.
I don't know why, but it was the same thing of seeing the back of his head and know that I was going to date him. You
brought him to her.
Well, that night I said to him casually, I said, this gets really weird, but that girl, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I guess. He didn't really pay attention. And by the way, he was not a cheater type or anything like that, whatever. I said, I think you two would actually make a really good couple. And he said, are you out of your mind? And I said, no. And I think he misunderstood what I was trying to say. I just said, energetically, it just feels, years go by, we break up, whatever, years go by, he gets engaged once or twice. I think once. And I heard and we'd stayed friends, talking every couple months or something. And I heard through the grapevine that he had just broken it off with somebody. So I picked up the phone and I called him at work. He was working at Microsoft. He still does, I think. And I said, hey, buddy, because I had heard that she had broken up with somebody. And I said, do you remember? And he said, you're a crazy person. I said, just go with me here. Ask her on a date, blind date. He said, no way. I said, just do it for me. We've been friends all these years. Just do it for me. Fine. He asked her out. They're married. They have kids. They have dogs.
Oh my God. I'm covered in goosebumps.
Yeah.
You literally brought him to her. Like you're supposed to.
I just think that they were supposed to be together and I can't explain it, but I just knew it. And it wasn't in the equation other than I was supposed to connect them. What bums me out though is that she ended up having weird things because he and I obviously had slept together for years. And so I'm no longer friends with that couple, unfortunately. She X'd me out, which is weird considering, but it's okay. It's fine.
Okay, but that's the part. So I have friends that are exes. They're not close friends, but I have been X'd out too because the women that they're with don't really want them talking to me.
I have had that happen.
Look at the bigger picture though. I grew up that way. My dad's second wife was always around because I have half siblings older and she was always around. She'd come to Thanksgiving. She's still around. She was at my mom's memorial and my dad's birthday and his memorial. Like she's family. But I mean, that's also, they're 80 and 90, but that's been going on since they were young. And somehow my mom was okay with it. And that's how I think I learned that, like, people that you've loved and cared for, if there was nothing horrible that happened.
Right. That's the thing. If nothing horrible happens,
then you can be family. And now it's more family and tribe. And who doesn't need more family and tribe in this crazy world?
I know.
People that know you, people that care about you. So if anybody's listening and hasn't tried that, like, it's okay to be friends with your exes and let your person be friends with their exes. Oh, although that came up on though. So that was part of it though. You have to ask yourself, am I being respected? Does it feel like they are not listening to my needs around it? Are we not compromising? Are they not being attentive to my needs at all because they're too busy talking to their ex again? And so again, it's all communication and style. But if you style it right, there is no reason you shouldn't be friends with your exes. None. Zero.
Again, comes down to boundaries, respect, vulnerability, communication.
But then we come to the least fun part, the damn social media. I wish we could just do away with it sometimes. I know we can't. That's not what's going to happen in the world. But there is sometimes where I'm just like, seriously. So I can't see. Hold on, boys and girls. Getting to be that age. A 2014 survey said that 45% of millennial respondents said that their social media accounts had a major impact on their relationships. So that's almost half. That's crazy.
Whoa. In what way? Does it say how?
It doesn't say how, but then when I was reading up on the ways that it does, it's all the same stuff. It's, for instance, no phones after sex is a good thing, because sometimes it extends into the bedroom where they, I've heard this from clients and friends, where all of a sudden, you're right done having sex. Instead of people used to smoke, they pick up their phone and be like, okay, what's going on social media?
That'd be so weird to me. For me personally, I think I would be offended by
I'd be so offended. You just have this super intimate moment. And instead of staying together as like a unity for a minute and cuddling, they're like, hold on, let me see who I should like on social media. Anyway, yeah, right.
Yeah, that is
now,
weird.
the millennials know no other.
I know.
So I feel bad for them in some way.
But just like in the generations before where they said no television in the bedroom.
Yep.
There probably should maybe be no phones in the bedroom.
Put your phone away. You don't need to be
or turn it off or whatever.
I've even heard of people having their phone out while they're having sex. I mean, unless you're watching something spicy together, your phone does not belong on the bed while you're having sex.
When I was in high school, I called my parents were married on the 30th of December. And no, that is not used for any of my passwords. So all you fishers out there, just forget about it. It really isn't. But I remember once it was in high school. I was at my friend Jill's house and I was like, oh shit, I forgot it was late. And I thought, oh God, I forgot it's my parents' anniversary. So I called. My mother answered the phone. They were in the middle of, I could tell they were having sex. I could tell. And I just immediately hung up the phone. I was like, why would she answer the phone?
Maybe she thought it was an emergency. Maybe calling at a weird time. So I guess you're like, oh, my parents are having sex. I guess even older people do it then. That's fascinating.
Well, this was a long time ago, right? I was in high school, but still.
Crazy.
So gross.
So then it comes down to the pieces of like, I've heard this from multiple people, friends, clients, patients at the clinic, where they've gotten in fights with people because it's that, you're liking one person's stuff a lot and you're putting too much focus on them or giving them lots of hearts or, ooh, you look hot, any of that kind of behavior. So the way to go against that is ask yourself, would I be doing this if my partner was sitting right here watching me? Does that feel okay? And if it doesn't, then you probably shouldn't do it, because again, especially heteronormative relationships, if you're the female, our gut says, and then we look and we go, oh, come on. Like, it just doesn't feel good if they're over hyper focusing on that. Or you're right, they have an account where it's all butts and it's like hard. I like all the butts. It's a conversation.
I like all the butts and I cannot lie.
But I personally, if it's that just random viewing of body parts, less big deal versus, hey, there's some girl I don't know and I'm sliding into her DMs and I'm making a lot of comments on her stuff. Then the question is are you trying to have something happen here? Like,
a good example to see as sort of a parameter is that, let's just say social media doesn't exist, but instead you're picking up the phone and calling a person every time, like translate likes or hearting to a phone call. So imagine physically picking up a phone, calling someone and say, I like that, and hanging up. then you'll start to see the ramification of how much energy that actually is.
You're pushing energy towards somebody else and maybe not pushing
Right.
the relationship. And
Right.
that's the problem with the social media bug.
Yeah. Well, and also wanting attention from other people, that can also elicit issues. It's very hard to navigate this planet. And now we are in an age where our brain is getting massive, cocaine hits by being liked or disliked or whatever it is, or paid attention to.
Dopamine. I know. I try to stay away from, I do it a little bit. It doesn't fuel me in ways that it fuels other people. But if you're dating somebody and it fuels them, it's a conversation.
Yeah. But who doesn't like their picture being liked? I sure do. When I post a picture of myself and 200 people are like, wow, that's a great picture. It makes you feel good. Do I wish I was above that? Sure, I do. Am I? Absolutely not.
Honestly, I don't. They've done studies. It's addictive. Nobody's probably above it, except for people that have no social media accounts. But then I find that weird too. How are you supposed to stalk them and make sure they're a normal human being before you go on a date with them if they have no social media?
You imagine if Ted Bundy had a social media page? Like if Ted Bundy had Instagram, what would it be pictures of?
Wasn't he the one with brought the dogs everywhere and was like?
He used dogs. He used broken. He'd probably just post broken arms, and
he might look totally normal though. Here's me and my dog, and then now watch out. So then, of course, it's that thing of like, do you need to verify? Do you need to snoop? I think if you have enough good conversations in the beginning of a relationship to understand where each of you fall, that's a good starting point, so that you don't get to that point where you're 3 years in and like, I really want to look at his phone. I really want, what's going on? I really want to look, what is he doing? Who's he texting? And again, we're going to be doing a whole thing on infidelity in the future. Like, it needs to be, I feel like it should be a pre-conversation before you get long-term about it. And then a review of the conversation if somebody's on their social media all the time, right?
Yeah.
This was another good rule. So it was kind of like your thing, like picking up the phone. Also, like if you're going to be posting a lot of things about yourself, it's that thing of on social media where this isn't the jealousy thing, but I guess it could be. Like if you're an oversharer, you really need to be asking your partner. Like, is this okay if I post everything that we did this week on social media?
That is also a generational thing, I feel like. I actually was dating someone once and they got mad because I didn't make us Facebook official. And I am very much a private person. I'm public with my public life, but my private life remains so. Right. I don't share that information. It's not something, it's mine,
But that's a good point. That brings up jealousy for people. You didn't post me into the world.
Yeah.
I'm jealous that maybe, or it's not jealous as much as like, just like.
I think it is a sense of jealousy, right? Because you're upset that the world doesn't know. I don't know what you would put that in, actually.
I put it in the FOMO category. Now I don't even know where I put it either. Bottom line, it comes down to a communication style. And then when we talk about jealousy, here's some false beliefs that I find interesting. I should be able to control my partner. They should do what I want them to do. People believe this stuff when you're together with somebody that you now own them and they don't get to have a life outside of that. If they really loved me, they wouldn't be friends with that person. If we're monogamous, you shouldn't even be attracted to others. Comparing to other people. I
had a boyfriend once. This is not super long ago. It's within the last decade. He knew that my ex had cheated with a particular woman, and he invited her because he was good friends with his good friend started dating this woman who knowingly cheated, knowing that I existed, knowing that I was this was in a previous relationship, invited them to dinner. I'm like, I don't really want to break bread with the woman who knowingly lured my then person away. Not lured. I mean, they were
super weird dynamic. Did they come? Did you guys have dinner?
Oh yeah. And the thing that really chaffed my hide is that the person I was with didn't hear what I was saying. I think I had a very valid request. I love your friend, but I'm not interested in right now. It was pretty new, I'm not interested in breaking bread with the person that slept with my then boyfriend. It felt very creepy.
No thanks.
And I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to handle that moment. Now it would have been very interesting. Today, this person that I am, I would be like, all right, yeah. And then I would have been like, so tell me. I would have interviewed her or something.
Yeah, you would have gotten an interview status. Tell me, why did it happen? How did it happen?
I would have been like, I would like to have you on Hey Human podcast to talk about why you feel it's appropriate to try and get boys to cheat on their girls.
Oh my God, 100%. But that's a little different than I should be able to control you. You shouldn't be friends with people. If she
Right.
cheated, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And now we're down to some fun tips. Tips to feel better about all of this. So again, believe and give that person that you're with grace. And also know that you're in charge of a lot of that. If you're not working on yourself and doing self-love and self-preservation and having that kind of inner radiance that comes with enjoying your life, you're going to feel that in yourself. Your energy is going to be down here. And for some reason, if their energy is a little higher, then you're going to be like, oh, now I'm jealous. Now they might go, but that doesn't have to do with them. Remember, that has to do with you not filling up your own tank enough to feel like you're on the same in level.
Yeah.
So everybody fill your tanks up and find your things and do your things. And then remember, people don't necessarily fall for somebody and commit because they're the most successful, because you're the most sexy, because you have the best abs. It may be an initial draw, but people fall in love with the whole package of a person. So just because you don't have the perfect abs, I used to, I don't now, you don't have to be like, oh, they're not going to like me and they like that person better because look at their six pack, which is what I might have done when I was younger. Now I'm like, oh no, I'm the whole package, despite the fact that my abs are gone. I'm working on them. Yeah.
I thought you said the word successful, and I love that word. But I think you said successful, and I just heard it as successful. But I think
that's hilarious.
But yeah, I think the older we get, the more we think, at least I hope that we're moving more toward a more centered feeling of, I am not perfect. I am covered in life. And therefore, I might have a little pudge here or a stretch mark there or a cellulite there or whatever. But that's what life is.
Or sometimes we might act out and get 10% jealous, or, we can't be perfect little creatures, but the goal is to not let jealousy ruin your relationship. And so, and again, there's that whole concept of like, your mind will find what it's looking for. So if you're just constantly focusing on the negative and the jealousy piece, then you're going to have more of that.
Yeah.
On, we're together, we're strong, we're this thing, then you're probably going to have more of that, right?
Yeah.
Focus
Totally.
your mind and your energy where you want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
And stop being so much of a detective. It's okay to keep your spidey senses open to make sure that things are on track, but you don't have to play detective 100% of the time because you will find problems.
Yeah. It's hard to navigate relationships with another human being.
It is so hard, but I go back to my favorite, like radical honesty, communication, my five essential elements. So make sure you have your own self-love dialed in. You guys are communicating, that you have good, strong intimacy, that you have good, strong sex life, and that you have a self-preservation, which is like, I can't answer your 10 texts right now, even though I love you and you're my person. Like boundaries. To me, self-preservation is boundaries, which a lot of people, including myself, only learn as we get older, right? And everybody should work on their abandonment issues and make sure that you're communicating how your person can make you happy versus I don't like it when you, because then that drags the relationship energy down. Then you're more likely to be jealous versus like, it makes me so happy when you do. So focus on the positives, not the negatives. And remember that you're a collaborative team. If you're with somebody, you're supposed to be a team sport. You're playing ball together. If the ball's being dropped, you need to communicate about it, because if it feels like it's getting dropped, you're more likely to get jealous. And I think, mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, we did and then we did put some links down below. So subscribe and there's a bunch of links, but there's a book called The Jealousy Cure. So if you find yourself being a highly jealous person, work with a counselor, work with a coach, find me on my website. It's linked down below. Look at our links. We always put links down there. So how to navigate social media boundaries in relationship, how to handle a partner, staying friends with exes, 4 tips for feeling jealous when you have an insecure attachment style, which again, most of the planet has some kind of insecure attachment style. And we took the quiz and mine came back, I'm not jealous. I think if I would have took this 10 years ago, it would have said I was a jealous person. And I could definitely be jealous, but I think this was looking at like, is that your overriding theme and how you react in relationships? What did you get?
I got not a jellyfish.
Not a jelly. Oh, that's cute. I'm not a jellyfish either. I can be a jellyfish, but I am not a jellyfish.
Like, none of us are 100% of anything,
No, I know.
in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Also, I have to go back to, I haven't liked somebody long enough. I haven't liked somebody that much and had to experience these things in a while. So this could change if, you fall madly in love and something's kinky and not right.
But if you're madly in love, are you madly in love with an idea or with the actual person? Because if you are really present with the person, then all this stuff shouldn't be an issue, is my only caveat with
a
that.
lot of younger people are doing it for, I want to have children, I want to be married, I love the idea of this person, and they don't have that true connection. Older people too, I shouldn't generalize. I just know for myself, the next time I do this, it's because I have a connection and it's a real thing. And then when that happens, why would you feel as insecure? You wouldn't.
Yeah. Humans, am I right?
Humans, holy hell. So in 2 weeks, we're talking about penis problems.
Penis problems, yes.
Problems, all the things
What that means.
Yeah, all the things that can go wrong or sideways, and all the ways to fix it.
I hope it doesn't go sideways. You can break a penis that way.
We're going to talk about that. No, you can have a broken penis and it can go sideways. I almost did that to somebody once. We'll talk about that.
I think we've all been there. Yeah.
Oh, not fun. Crooked penis syndrome. So that's in 2 weeks. Like and subscribe. Don't forget, if you like us on Instagram or like us on YouTube, we will put you in the drawing for those fun toys from Vibratex. We still have a whole bunch we're going to be giving out. And in a couple of weeks, we'll let you know who our person for May is. And anything to add?
No, for June. Wait, what month are we in?
Maybe I have it wrong. The next month that's coming up, we will tell you who that toy person's for.
It's okay. I thought all day yesterday was the beginning of the week, and I was at the end of the week, and I was so confused. I was going to park my car on the correct side of the street, and it really took me a good hard minute to think about what the day was.
So for street cleaning purposes,
I'm so busy at this point.
I'm
like, none of the days matter to me anymore. It's just, they're all, and not in a bad way. It's just,
I agree with that, but I've been feeling the same way. And there's a whole hustle culture. I just feel like everybody should find time to be with yourself, be with your people, and slow down just 10%. The whole world is moving. Everybody on it that I know, including myself and the world, all moving so fast. And then it does mess with your brain. We're in June.
It does. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Subscribe, everybody. Listen to us, maybe for other stuff. But thank you. Love you.
Everybody stay well and connected. I love you, Miss Susan.
Bye.